Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we're going to be reviewing the new album from Sonata Arctica titled Talviyö. So after 1 week of listening to this album, I have to say that it's alright, I guess. The thing, over the course of this week, I tried to tackle this album from two different viewpoints. The one being the fan of the band, you know, someone who's more experienced listening to the discography of Sonata Arctica, and the new listener, someone who's not as familiar with their discography, checking this album out. Because when we did our first impressions, I hadn't heard this band very much. I listened to them many years ago. You gave a few albums to me to check out. I checked them out, enjoyed them, but I didn't listen to them much. So I didn't really have as much of a perspective coming in. So I was just listening to that album during your first impressions based on just what I was hearing. And I was like, oh, this is alright, it's a few good moments, but whatever. Then I listened to a bunch of their older discography, over the course of this week, mixed in with my listens of Talviyö. And I noticed that fans of this band, it's understandable for them to hate this album a lot. Because if you're gonna compare Talviyö to something like Silence, it is night and day. Because Silence, I remember you told me, oh, I listened to Silence again. That album's crazy, and I checked it out myself, and I can confirm that album is certainly crazy. And as I was listening to it, memories were coming back of, oh yeah, I remember this. This was amazing. Why didn't I listen to this more? And I even checked out a bunch of the other ones, like Ecliptica, Winterheart's Guild, The Days of Grace, and The Ninth Hour. And I have to say, all of those albums are better than Talviyö.
Yeah.
Especially considering The Ninth Hour being their most recent album before this release, I felt still captured the heart of this band. You still felt like there were power metal influences in there. They still had the strength. It still had a lot more bite to it. It feels like Talviyö softened up a lot. And I feel like some of the best tracks on Talviyö would be like good soft ones on a better Sonata Arctica album. For example, Who Failed the Most? I ended up liking this song a lot as the week went on. It's just the catchiness of the song gripped me and I enjoyed listening to it. I was singing the hook in my head, whatever, or humming it to myself. That did a good job. And I think that is a bit of a trend with this entire album, is that it's very catchy.
Yeah.
Poppy in a way, if you want to use that term.
Yep.
Because it definitely does that, and especially with a leading single like Cold, it kind of goes that direction, which, knowing this band, I mean, if you listen to the older stuff, then you'd feel kind of alienated that way. But also consider for the newer listener, if you're getting into Sonata Arctica with Talviyö, you're going to have a really warped perception of what this band's about. Because you'll listen to this album, then you'll go to any other one, and it's going to be a completely different band.
Definitely.
So I feel like this album doesn't really help fans of the band, and unless this band is going a completely different direction from here forward, it's not really helping new listeners either.
Yeah, I agree for the most part with that statement, but there's one aspect I disagree on, and that is the vocals. I think the vocals on here are very consistent with the rest of their discography, and the vocals are the main focal point, at least of this album. The vocals have always been a focal point of the band, but in this album I found the vocals were like the shining light across the entire album, almost to a fault, because none of the other band members had a chance to really shine.
The guitar,
and they do on other.
The guitar had some good moments.
Small moments.
It wasn't much, but it still had something.
Compared to their older stuff, old stuff had blazing solos, had really finessed work, and really cool. It's not even
that's understandable.
But the vocals were still there. They were front row center. That was the main focal point, and that also, like you said, this sounds more pop orientated because of the style of the music. It's all mid-tempo, ballady, very accessible. It definitely took a few steps away from the power metal side of it, and definitely went with a more pop vibe. And yeah, but the vocals I would say is very consistent. If you're listening to music and your main focus is the vocals, then this will probably fall in line with all the other albums. But if you're like a guitar guy or a drum guy or just overall musician type person, then it will sound drastically different than the rest of their stuff.
Yeah, and we talked about the mix last week, saying that everything's kind of toned down except for the vocals. It's a bit muddy, and after listening to it with different headphones, different speakers on different mediums like that, I can confirm that yes, the mix is not very good. And that doesn't happen very often for albums that we review. Honestly, it's kind of uncommon for an album to have a bad mix, but in this case, there are so many times where it's like, where are the drums? They're barely present.
Yeah.
And I feel like they could just have so much more oomph in them, be a lot deeper, a lot stronger.
Yeah.
The bass was present, and I liked that. I noticed
Yeah.
that. There were moments in the songs where just the bass is just doing the line, and it's not even a complex line. I just love how it feels and sounds.
Yeah. With that
But
said,
the
though,
drums.
I don't think that it was mixed. It was mixed bad based on our perception, but it wasn't mixed bad as in the guy didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
Because I think it was done on purpose to give the overall album a softer sound.
Yeah.
Because it is very soft sounding. Even the heaviest songs on this album, which are basically just riff heavy, that's not really rhythm heavy, it's more, guitar heavy with a little bit of chugs here and there.
Yeah.
The heaviest it gets is still very mild.
Exactly.
Right.
And so it's not like this album. Yeah, you make a good point. It's not mixed bad from like a technical standpoint because they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
They just did something that doesn't work the best.
I want to talk about a couple songs and moments that I liked, little highlights for me. For one, The Last of the Lambs. Now this song is a ballad, it's slow. It's not one of my favorite songs, but it's a continuation of the Caleb saga, which is something that this band has been doing for many years. It started on Silence, and they've had, I think, 5 or 6 songs on different albums leading up to it that are all part of this saga that all involve this guy named Caleb. He's like this creepy predator, stalker kind of guy, and there's a bunch of songs that have to do with this story of this guy, and that is the next chapter in that story. So I thought that was interesting that they included that on this album. Ismos got good reactors, which is the instrumental on this album. They do instrumentals on several of their albums. This is one of the weaker ones as far as Sonata Arctica is concerned, but I still really like this track. It's a good track. But the story behind that song, Ismos got good reactors, is actually a quote. And the quote is from a little boy. So Tony Kakko, the lead singer, his friend was out on a boating trip or something like that, and the boat motor came loose and was falling off, and the guy caught it and put it back in place, and the little kid said, Ismos got good reactors. Now what he meant to say, the guy was named, what was his name? His name was Miko, and he meant to say Miko's got good reactions because he caught the boat motor before it fell in the water. So, but that quote was part of that story, and Tony Kakko liked it, so he made it the title of this song. So that song is it's an instrumental track which is supposed to have references from several places around the world. So you hear different sounds from
I can kind of see that.
East Asia and things like that, and some Middle Eastern stuff, and it just sounds like one of those worldwide kind of songs. Got a lot of elements to it, so it's pretty cool. I like it. Demon's Cage is probably my favorite song. Again, it's one of the heavier songs on the album as far as riffs are concerned. I like at the intro it switches from the downbeat to the upbeat, which is pretty cool. Some good piano licks during the pre-chorus. There's one part lyrically which I thought was awesome, he thought was lame. Pave the streets with broken glass, working class, kneel and kiss my He doesn't say ass.
He just says, he stops and then,
Kiss my
every time that happened, it would piss me off. Like, what is he doing? Why is he censoring ass? Like, this is so dumb.
I thought it was so good. I don't know. Whatever.
He doesn't even say it like the second time. He just says, kiss my beautiful.
Yeah. But there's certain parts of this song that, like, the song's got a lot of stuff going on with it. There's just one part where during the bridge where the song breaks down, it's just vocals and piano for a couple bars. It sounds really nice. Tony's got great cadence in this song. Throughout the album, he really does, but this song specifically stood out to me. His tone and pitch reminded me of David Usher, who was the singer of Moist. You probably don't know Moist, but they were popular back in the 90s. But he had a very distinct voice, and in this song, Tony Kakko reminds me of that. So it was kind of giving me some throwback feelings. I know moist is a word that people get uncomfortable with. Moist. Other than that, let me see here. Oh yeah, my favorite part of the whole album is just a part in Who Failed the Most, which I know is a song you want to talk about, so you can segue after this. But around the midway point, there's a head singing part. If you notice where he's going, ah.
Yeah.
I fucking love that.
I love that too.
That is the highlight of the album for me. And you know what? If any of you guys are like vocal coaches or anything like that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm like 90% sure that's head singing. Which is hard to differentiate head singing with falsetto sometimes, but it was awesome.
Man,
I love it.
Like, that was just a good example. Like, that part of the song is a good example of why that song's really cool and why I like it so much. Because it's just a little bit that is just in there that you enjoy that it just kicks the song up a notch for yourself. So it's like, I wish more songs would have that kind of kick for me. But unfortunately, a lot of them are either okay or like decent, but that one is definitely a highlight.
Yeah.
So anyway, with that being said, let's get to rating. So Vile, what do you give Talviyö?
The vocals took the spotlight a little too much for me. I love Tony's voice, but I think there's plenty of chances for other band members to shine, and they just missed those opportunities. So for that, the album doesn't get a great score from me. Still enjoyable for the most part, but I'm gonna give it a 5.5.
All right, it's respectable rating. For me, this album, at some points during the week, I'm like, it's all right. And some points, I just really did not like it at all. And I feel like a lot of people are kind of let down from this album, but I couldn't bring myself to hate it. Like, this is not a shit album.
Yeah,
I
it's
can't
not
say
a dud. It's not a dud.
But it's not, I don't know, it's a little bit disappointing. So I'm just gonna give it a 5. It's really middle of the pack, because there's times where it really feels enjoyable, but honestly, if you're gonna get into this band, I would not suggest starting with this album. True. Because not only is it not really true to what the sound of this band has been for so many years, but they've done a lot better than this one, for sure. Listen to Silence. Do yourself a favor. Anyway, with that being said, 5 from me, 5.5 from Vile. It's an alright album, but that's all we got for you guys today. Remember to like the video if you like it, comment, tell us below if you agree or disagree with our ratings. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. I'm TV Fish.
And I'm Vile Self.
And we'll see you guys later.